is there. Here you go.
Excellent, merci. Hi everyone, for the courageous one that are still in the room, listening to this last speech. I'm Christophe de Beukelaer. I'm a Belgian member of Parliament, and I get to know a little bit in France because I took my salary in Bitcoin during all year 2022. And I'm here to explain a little bit why I did that political act and what brought me to have a little bit more interest in the crypto world and to trying to defend some point of view the crypto community is defending also in politics. So I have called this presentation Fairer Finance because that's really the point of view that brought me into crypto. It's the finance. Yes, voila. That's the plan of the presentation, but we'll directly go to the diagnosis of a sick financial system. That was really, for me, a new point of view on finance. I was born in a family, quite wealthy family, so I never understood there was a problem with finance. It's only a few years ago when I was understanding better and talking to people that opened my eyes on what was going bad in the financial world. I think if you are here, you know it, but we talk about debanking, about free money that we print and that create inflation, interest rates that where we don't have any democratic debate on. It's also, we saw it during the crisis of 2008, the junk bonds, even in the name, it's written, they are junk. So rotten financial assets that people don't understand anymore how it works. Even financial people, even bankers don't understand how it works anymore. A big disconnection between finance and economy. We saw it during the COVID crisis, where the economy was on the ground, completely closed, in fact, and the markets, financial markets, that were going very well. So there was a big disconnection between those. And also, governance problem. We don't understand very well how the ECB is taking decisions, and there is never a democratic debate on the decisions that are made with finance. And it's partly assumed because we wanted to have independent financial central banks, which can have his, of course, his interest, but also his problems. So all these points brings us to, in fact, a financial system that is working very well for a very little amount of people, and all the other, the big part of the population is is not profiting of these financial markets. So when you look at all those problems, you have two possibilities for a political reaction. You have the left parties that are saying, okay, money is bad and we have to do the war against money. And they don't understand that money has brought us a lot of wealth, especially in our European countries. And then you have the right parties, and they see the same problems, but they are not very conscious about it, and partly also because they are comfortable, they are on the good side of the barrier. They decide to do nothing and to just let things go. And I'm a humanist, I'm a centrist, and I think, okay, in face of that, I see the positive things of the financial world. I see the negative things. How can we try to make it a better financial world? So I see three antidotes for this sick financial world. The first one is fighting financial ignorance. So I think there is a big problem in our Western world, in the world in general, is a big ignorance and a big incompetence among politicians, but also among all the population about financial topics. There is a big ignorance, and we have to solve that problem, because money is the blood of our economy, is the blood of our society, and if we don't manage it well, then we have big problems as we know them now. There are a few global issues also with money happening now. So, of course, the appearance of a new monetary system with crypto, but also the de-dollarization to which we assist for the moment, that will have a big impact on our societies, on our economies. And I'm really not convinced that politicians and populations in our Western countries are aware of that. So I think we have to teach finance at school. From very early age, we have to learn our children how to manage a budget, how to manage their money, what's the difference between shares and obligations, what's the difference, what's inflation, how crypto works. So that's very important. It's to fight ignorance and to teach from the beginning, from very early age, finance at school. Second thing is a tax reform. I think I speak for Belgium, but I think it's the same in France. We have a big problem in our countries, is that work is overtaxed. Work is overtaxed, and capital is undertaxed. So I know we have slightly different systems, but in generally we have built our systems on taxation of work and not on capital, and that is not fair. That is not fair. We have to change that. But we have to really change that. What you always hear is politicians that say, yes, we have to lower taxes on work and make higher taxes on capital, but they do only the latter. They do only higher taxes on capital, but never lower the tax on work. So I'm convinced we have really to do a big tax reform in all our Western countries to equilibrate that, because it brings very unfairness in the system. So yeah, I have some details on the reform I propose in Belgium, but I don't think it's very relevant for here. And then the last antidote, of course, is using crypto as a counterpower in finance. That's very important. It's a counterpower. Never a power alone never works. In politics, you have power and counterpower. You have the executive power, you have the legislative power, you have the judiciary power that equilibrates them. In finance, you have only one power, and that's a big problem. We have to equilibrate that with a new power that is emerging now since a few years, and that's the crypto world. Yeah, of course, we talked a little bit about CBDC in the previous panel. I'm part of the people that are a little bit scared about what's happening now. If you see the political evolution in Europe, I'm quite convinced that in the decades that come, we will have to face authoritarian powers, and we have to prepare ourselves for that. And one way to do that is, of course, to keeping a free, accessible way of exchanging money, of exchanging value between us. And when I see what happened with the restraining of cash more and more, when I see what's happening with the CBDC, which has a big risk, big social risk, I think, we have to ask ourselves a question that is written here on the slides, and that is, in a digital society, is the monetary monopoly of the states not becoming a too big political power regarding our democratic standards? So the question is the monetary monopoly still something we can handle in a digital society? And I think no. I think it's becoming a too big political power, and we have to install a counterpower. And of course, Bitcoin, I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist. You will see it at the end of my slides. But I think Bitcoin, for that, has a very particular role. Of course, I think when you talk about counterpower, it's to give people freedom, financial freedom, and freedom is not anarchy. There is something between anarchy and non-freedom. It's called freedom, and we have to protect that. And also, of course, when you talk about a counterpower, it's to force the power to be reasonable, to act reasonably. And of course, the question of printing money is a big question we have to question in our democracies, because I think the results of what we did the last years, when you see the amount of money supply in circulation, you see that we are facing bigger and bigger problems now. A few months ago, all the economists, Christine Lagarde, also told us, don't panic, the inflation will disappear magically in the coming weeks. It has been now 1 or 2 years. It's not the case, and now they are all saying, okay, yes, in fact, it's gonna be like this for a long time. But that has concrete impact on our lives, that has concrete social impacts on people, and the problem is that I think politicians are really not aware of this. So a little bit more consciousness, a little bit more awareness of the finance would be very important, and I think a counterpower like Bitcoin and all the cryptocurrencies that will appear can of course help this. Yeah, I talked about this. Maybe also, yeah, talking to you about the monetary revolution. So all this, of course, blockchain and crypto is a monetary revolution. When you see how you have to look a little bit to the past, to the history to understand this. Every time we invented a new technology, you have also a new way of exchanging value. When we had metallurgy, we had coins and gold. Then we invented writing and printing, and the banknotes appeared. With the IT, we had already digital money. You have money on your. You have not really money on your phone, but you have access to digital money on your phone. And of course, now there is a new technology appearing. It will have an impact on how we exchange value. And if you understand the first one, you have to understand the last one also. It will not only be a monetary revolution, it will also be a social revolution. The way we store and exchange information has always determined how we organize ourselves in society. In the beginning, when we stored and exchanged information only by verbal tradition, by oral tradition, of course, we could organize ourselves only in very small groups of people, because it's very slow and it's very difficult to organize ourselves. We have to retain everything and we have to say everything to each other by voice. And that was during a lot of time the case. During millenaries, it was organized like this. So we lived in tribes. And at the moment, we invented the writing. We began to write things on papers and on stones in the beginning. Of course, when you begin to write and to store and exchange information, not only by verbal and by heart, but you can put it on a paper, you can organize yourself in a much broader way. And the cities appeared. With the printing, it was even easier, because you could send information all over the country. So the countries appeared, nation states. With the internet, you could send and store information at the other part of the world. So it's really continents that begin to organize themselves. And now we can even exchange information and value without any intermediary. So of course, it will accelerate much more the way we interact, and it will also change our social manner of organizing ourselves. We talk already, and for sure you heard about supranational networks, which I think will be one way of evolving in the next decades. Also, Of course, when we talk about social revolution, we talk about DAOs. I think it will fundamentally change the governance of our enterprises and associations. It will change our democracies. It will change our institution, and it will also create things we cannot imagine for the moment. And I think that's a very important thing when we talk about all those technologies, especially from a political point of view. We have to be open to the future. We don't know yet what the technology will bring, what the technology will make possible. So it's very important we don't restrain ourselves in definitions, but that we stay open with our minds. It's also an economic revolution. Also, if you look a little bit to the past, in the beginning, you gain your money with your job. You was, I don't know, a painter, or and you gain your money with your job. But at the moment, we invented it was an invention of humanity. It was the companies. Okay, in fact, I can gain money with my job, but I can also create a company with shares of my company and creating value because with these shares, you can have a perspective on the future of how I will handle this company. And now with the blockchain, we add one more way to create economic value, and that's the tokens. Because with the tokens, you can not only give access to the property of your company, but also to some services, to some advantages, to a certain fidelity, and that will create a new way of creating value with always the same activity. So it's an economic revolution. And it's also a digital revolution. I don't have to explain this slide, I think, to people that are here at Polkadot. But of course, the Web3 is a wholly new way to handle internet. So what do we do when you see? If you see to my slide, I always put a R into revolution or evolution. Is it a digital evolution or revolution? Economic revolution or evolution? Why did I do that? Because that's a good question, a big question we have to ask all us, that politicians have to ask themselves. Do we want to create an evolution, or do we want to subir, to let the revolution happen? And I think we have, of course, to accompany this technology to create the evolution that and it's important that it happens smoothly, that we have all our population with us in this evolution. Otherwise, it will happen without us, but of course it will happen. Because of all what I explained, you see, it will happen. It's history. So it has no. It's not interesting to trying to stop that evolution when history is going. You see, when we invented printing, of course, banknotes appeared. You can trying to avoid that, but it was impossible because it's more effective. It's more efficient. So how can we act as a politician? I think the first thing is to have political awareness and competence. So of course it's lacking in all the parliaments in our Western world. I want politicians to be aware of the technologies that are coming. Here we talk about blockchain, but I would say the same for artificial intelligence, for metaverse, for all the technologies that are appearing now. I think it's very important to have politicians that understand them, that use them in their daily lives, because it's the future. And politicians are there to prepare the future. So the first thing is really to have politicians that understand all those technologies. Second thing is taking risk. We have a big problem in our Western democracies that we are afraid of taking risk. We are very risk averse, and that's a big problem because when you talk about future, when you talk about innovation, of course there is a part of risk. We will make bad decisions, we will make bad legislation, and we will put our population at risk somehow. But that's the price to evolve. The only place where there is no risk, it's in a coffin. You know, it's when you not in a coffin, when you die. Then there is no risk anymore. But that's the only way. So it's important because, of course, I'm talking here to entrepreneurs, and you have that in your mindset. But there is a real lack of ability to take risk in the political world, and that is really a big problem for our economies. Co-building the legislation, of course, we saw it with Mika in the beginning when there was a discussion. You saw and you felt really that the politicians were not understanding the technology, and so trying to legislate on a very bad way. So it's very important to talk to people, to be with the people that understand and that work on the technology to build an interesting legislation. And last point, stay open to all tech. I'm really, I took my salary in Bitcoin. It was really to give a political signal, and I knew people understood. They heard about Bitcoin, they knew a little bit what we're talking about, so it was a political act, but it's not because I think there is only Bitcoin in the crypto world. I think we don't know what will be the technologies that will be emerging in the next decades. It's already it's still a very young ecosystem, and we have to be very open and ready to see new things happening also. All this is a matter of sovereignty. We talked about this. I heard the panel before talked about this. It's a matter of sovereignty in face of other countries, other continents, of course. There is a real race about this technology, and all countries, despite what you hear in the radio or what you see in the newspaper, there is a real race trying to take the shares of that of those new markets in each country. But it's also a matter of sovereignty in face of companies, of course, because if the public authorities don't understand how it works, don't legislate well, of course, our financial, but our social or economic sovereignty will be taken by private companies, by the GAFAM, by the new GAFAM that are coming. And of course, as a Democrat, as a centrist, I don't think that is the good way of working. We don't have to monetize our freedom, of course. So that was, I think, all I wanted to say. The most important thing, I think, is to understand that politicians have to take part of this evolution. I think in France it's a little bit more the case already than I see in other countries. But of course, it's also something I wanted to say to you. It's also your role of entrepreneurs, of companies active in this world, to do to go talk to politicians, to explain them there is something happening and they have to understand what's happening, to educate them, because sometimes there is a clear responsibility at political side. I say it everywhere, and also when I talk to my colleagues, but there is also a responsibility at your side, because sometimes I feel the entrepreneurs and all the people of the Web3 ecosystem are meeting a lot among them, meeting a lot between them, but not enough with the political and the financial institutions. That's also why and the idea is to be the place where the meeting place between European institutions, between politicians and the entrepreneurs. So the next edition is in June 2024, so it's not directly, but voilà a few words. I don't know if we take questions, or
if you want, if someone has a question.
Are there some questions, or are we finishing here and going to drink a beer?
Yeah. Or maybe if you have any questions, you can just feel free to ask.
It's okay, like this.
Yeah,
thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Christophe. So one should understand money before understanding Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, of course.
That's perfect. Great. So.